The 38th regular session of the 14th Sangguniang Pagungsod is about to begin. The Honorable Jerry Ocasio presiding.
Let's read from Hebrews chapter 12 verses 1 to 3. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. For the joy set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame, and sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. Sabbath and prayer. Standing for the Philippine National Anthem. Please be seated. The 38th regular session of the 14th Sangguniang Pagungsod will now come to order. Madam Secretary, can we call the roll, please?
Good afternoon. The following honorable members are present: the Honorable Elvira Casal, Honorable Edmund Edward Chua, Honorable Nikki Chua, Honorable Leo Bahim, Honorable Evangeline Esperas, Honorable Aurora Amy Grafil, Honorable Dalisay Epe, Honorable Brian Steve Ganados, Honorable Rachel Erica Pineda, Honorable Jose Mario John Bagulaya, Honorable Eden Pineda, and Honorable Thomas John Diaz. There being 12 members present, we have a quorum, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Thank you again. We have a perfect attendance for this 30th regular session. Quorum declared.
First item in our agenda is the reading and consideration of the minutes of the regular session held last July 29, 2020.
Madam Floor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Presiding Officer, and my dear colleagues. Since everyone has been furnished a copy of the regular session held last July 29, 2020, I move to dispense with the reading of the full text of the said session.
There is a motion to dispense with the reading of the full text of the minutes of the regular session conducted last July 29, 2020. The motion is seconded by Honorable Elton. Any discussion? Any objection? The being none, the motion is approved.
As a corollary motion, I move to adopt and approve the minutes of the regular session held last July 29, 2020.
There's a motion now to approve the minutes of the regular session conducted last July 29, 2020. The motion is seconded by Honorable Elton, Honorable Esteras. Any corrections? Any objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Matters for referral to committees. R 2020-14-306, request of Mr. Restituto Reglos for a franchise to operate Gamer Cyber Zone located at Salazar Street, Barangay 44-8, Tacloban City, to be referred to the Committee on Games and Amusement. R 2020-14-307, request of Ms. Joanne Jill Tampil of Pinoy Ako Corporation for an ordinance approving the sale transfer of franchise of one unit electric trike cab in favor of Mr. Rogelio Lazaro and Rowena Besa as provided for under Ordinance 2016-12-06 to be referred to the Committee on Transportation. R 2020-14-308, Annual Investment Program 2021 of the City Government of Tacloban to be referred to the Committee on Finance and Appropriation. Lastly, R 2020-14-309, request to pass a resolution for authority to enter into a memorandum of agreement by and between the City Government of Tacloban with the Coalition of Service of the Elderly Incorporated, represented by its Executive Director, Ms. Emily Beredico, relative to the enhancement of social accountability towards responsive and age-friendly local government unit, to be referred to the Committee on Laws and the Committee on Senior Citizens. Committee report, CR 2020-14-27, a committee report of the committee hearing conducted by the Committee on Health and Sanitation and the Committee on Laws regarding the proposed ordinance adopting protective and precautionary measures against COVID-19 during the new normal situation and providing penalties for violations thereof.
Madam Floor.
Good afternoon, everyone. Committee report 2020-14-027 is a committee report of the Committee on Health and Sanitation as well as the Committee on Laws, which is the proposed ordinance adopting protective and precautionary measures against COVID-19 during the new normal situation and providing penalties for violations thereof. Last July 21, 2020 at 2 o'clock, the Sangguniang Council Session Hall, the Committee on Health and Sanitation as well as the Committee on Laws conducted a committee hearing regarding the proposed ordinance adopting the protective and precautionary measures against COVID-19 during the new normal situation and providing penalties for violations thereof. In attendance were this representation as well as the Chairman on Committee on Laws, the Honorable Evangelist Peras, and we also had Honorable Amy Garfield, Honorable Dalisa Erpe, and Honorable Brian Steve Granados, as well as Attorney Alden Jude Quebec, the City Administrator, and Katie Sarden of the Administrator's Office, as well as representatives from Cumeco and the City Health Officer in charge, Gloria Fabregas. And the salient points were the different
I think more of wordings.
wordings, yes. So if my motion is in order, I move to dispense with the whole with reading the whole text of the committee report. I so move.
There's There's a motion to dispense with the reading of the full text of the committee report. The motion is seconded by Honorable Esperas. Any discussion? Any objection? There being none, motion is approved.
As a corollary motion, I move for the adoption and approval of the committee report.
There's a motion now to adopt and approve the said committee report. The motion is seconded by Honorable Esperas, Honorable Lafil, Honorable Ante. Any discussion? From the chair, no? Can we make sure that the members affix their signature? How many members affix their signature in the committee report?
There were 2 only as of now.
Ah.
3? Adi na. So,
Yeah,
everyone should affix their signature.
Better. 1 minute recess, please. The committee report is duly signed by the chairperson on Committee on Health and Sanitation, Honorable Maria Elvira Casal, together with the Vice Chair, Honorable Evangeline Esperas, and the members as well, Honorable Aurora Imigrafil, Honorable Delisa Erte, and Honorable Leo Ba. So all have affixed their signature to the... Any discussions? Any objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
Calendar for business, business for the day. We have 2 items for the Committee on Barangay Affairs. Agenda 14-256, annual budget for fiscal year 2020, Barangay number 42-A. And Agenda 14-257, supplemental budget for fiscal year 2020, Barangay 104, for appropriate action of this body.
Madam Flor?
For this item, please recognize the Honorable Eden Pineda.
Honorable Eden Pineda is recognized for the aforementioned agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, everyone. Agenda 14-256. Since this was passed and approved from the Local Finance Committee, I move for the approval of the annual budget for fiscal year 2020 of Barangay number 42-A.
There is a motion to approve the annual budget for fiscal year 2020 of Barangay 42-A. The motion is seconded by all. Any discussion? Any objection? There being none, the motion is approved. Please proceed.
Agenda 14-257. Since this was passed and approved from the Local Finance Committee, I move for the approval of the supplemental budget for fiscal year 2020 of Barangay number 104.
There's a motion to approve the supplemental budget for fiscal year 2020 of Barangay 104. The motion is seconded by all. Any discussion? Any objection? There being none, the motion is approved.
The next 7 items are principally sponsored by the Committee on Laws. Agenda 14-258, Barangay Ordinance of Barangay 14 and Ordinance adopting for an integrated ecological solid waste management for Barangay 14, Tacloban City, and their corresponding penalties therefore. Agenda 14-259, Barangay Ordinance number 14, series of 2019 of Barangay 46, anti-smoking policy of Barangay 46. Agenda 14-260, Barangay Ordinance 2019-11-001 of Barangay 96, an ordinance enhancing the safety of the internet operations in Barangay 96, Kalanikawan, Tacloban City, and prescribing guidelines and penalties for certain acts or omissions in violation of this ordinance. Agenda 14-261, request to pass a resolution for authority to enter into terms of partnership by and between the city government of Tacloban and the DOH Eastern Visayas Center for Health Development, represented by Director Minerva Molon, relative to the implementation of the 2020 Annual Operational Plan. Agenda 14-262, request to pass a resolution for authority to enter into a memorandum of agreement by and between the GSIS, represented by its acting president and general manager, Mr. Rolando Macasaet, relative to the implementation of the GSIS Multipurpose Loan and Consolidation of Debts, or the GSIS MPL program. Agenda 14-263, request to pass a resolution for authority to enter into a memorandum of agreement by and between the city government of Tacloban and the Department of Labor and Employment, represented by Regional Director Yaya Senti, relative to the implementation of the Government Internship Program for calendar year 2020. And lastly, Agenda 14-264, request to pass a resolution for authority to enter into a deed of donation by and between the City Government of Tacloban as donor in favor of the Philippine National Police, Tacloban City Police, represented by its City Director, Police Colonel Michael David, relative to the donation of 48 units of firearms.
On the floor.
Items, please recognize the Honorable Evangeline Estrada.
Honorable Chair, recognized for the aforementioned items on the agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer and Madam Flor. Agenda number 14-258 is a barangay ordinance, Barangay 14, entitled an ordinance adopting for an integrated ecological solid waste management for Barangay 14, Tacloban City, and their corresponding penalties. Therefore, the findings of the committee are as follows. Number 1, the ordinance is unnumbered and undated. Number 2, a perusal of the ordinance reveals that the barangay intends to adopt some provisions of City Ordinance number 2017-13-37, otherwise known as an ordinance providing for an integrated ecological solid waste management for Tacloban City. Hence, it is suggested that Barangay 14 amend its title into an ordinance adopting City Ordinance number 2017-13-37, known as the Solid Waste Management Ordinance of the City of Tacloban, and providing penalties thereof. Number 3, Section 12, Article 3 of the ordinance, which is on establishment of drop-off or collection points of stations, must not copy the city ordinance that provides that every barangay shall have a drop-off or collection point. It must now state that the barangay shall determine the drop-off or collection point or station for residual states. Number 4, Section 13, Article 3 likewise shall now state that the barangay, not each barangay, shall create positions of eco-waste crew or aides who shall perform the functions, or maybe they say they are creating how many eco-waste crew or aides positions. Number 5, Section 17, Article 4 on composting should delete the phrase, however, in urban areas, considering that Barangay 14 is found at the Central Business District of Tacloban City, definitely an urban area. It should proceed rather to state that, however, where there is inadequate backyard space for composting, segregated biodegradable waste shall be collected separately for a corresponding fee and will be brought to the host barangay where a barangay material recovery facility is located. Number 6, Section 21, Article 6 should not copy the whole provision of City Ordinance number 2017-13-37 on appropriations, which provides for allocation of funds in the city's annual budget of the CENRO for the effective implementation of the ordinance. Rather, it should merely state the barangay shall allocate funds in its annual budget for the effective implementation of this ordinance. Wherefore, in view of the foregoing observations and circumstances, the committee moves to remand the ordinance to barangay of origin for modification.
There is a motion to remand Barangay Ordinance Barangay 14, an ordinance adopting for an integrated ecological solid waste management for Barangay 14, Tacloban City, and their corresponding penalties therefore, for modifications. The motion is seconded by all. Any discussion? Any objection? The remand, the motion is approved.
Agenda number 14, that's 259, is ordinance number 14, series of 2019, entitled Anti-Smoking Ordinance. The findings of the committee are as follows. The title of the ordinance may be improved into, open quotation, the Anti-Smoking Ordinance of Barangay 46, Tacloban City, close quotation, and must be so stated in Section 1 thereof. 2. Section 3, coverage may be better stated as, this ordinance, not policy, shall apply to all persons, whether residents or not, within the territorial jurisdiction of Barangay 46. Next finding is under Section 4, definition of terms, paragraph 6C, letter C. Outdoor advertisement is better defined as refers to any signs, placards, billboards, or banner intended, not partially, to advertise or promote a tobacco product in public. And last, Section 7, penalties provides for an alternative penalty of community service that is not within the authority or power of the barangay to impose. Therefore, there being some modifications suggested to improve Barangay Ordinance number 14, series of 2019, of Barangay 46, the committee moves to remand the said ordinance to the barangay of origin for modification.
There's a motion to remand Barangay Ordinance number 14, series of 2019, Barangay 46, entitled Anti-Smoking Policy of Barangay 46 for modifications. The motion is seconded by all. Any discussion? Objection, the begun motion is approved.
Agenda number 14, that's 260, is ordinance number 2019-11-001, entitled An Ordinance Enhancing the Safety of the Internet Operations in Barangay 96, Kalipawan, Tacloban City, and prescribing guidelines and penalties for certain acts or omissions in violation of this ordinance thereof. The findings of the committee are as follows. Number 1, it is suggested that the title of the ordinance be stated in clear and simple language to express the intention of the Sangguniang Barangay. Apparently, the ordinance is a regulatory ordinance which could be better stated as an ordinance regulating the operation of internet cafes in Barangay 96, Tananpawan, Tacloban City, and providing penalties for violation thereof. Another finding is Section 1 should be title and not short title. Then proceed to restate the title as suggested. Number 3 finding, Section 2 should be modified to state this ordinance and not internet safety ordinance shall apply to the following, etc. Any business establishment, copy all the 3. Then number 4, Section 3 should likewise be modified to state this ordinance, not internet safety ordinance, is intended for the following. A, to regulate the establishment which offer internet within Barangay 96, Kalanpawan, Tacloban City. B, to provide corresponding penalties for any violation thereof, and so on and so forth. Number 5, observation. Section 4 on definitions must define the term internet cafe to include a combination of devices, but not limiting to cyber cafes, arcades, lounges, and spa. Hence, Section 5 may now be deleted. 6th finding, Sections 7, 8, and 9 may be integrated into one provision named regulations. Business clearance mentioned in Section 8, paragraph C may be renamed as barangay clearance for business. And lastly, adjustments must be made on administrative fines and penalties following the integration of sections 7, 8, and 9, and the numbering of sections likewise be adjusted. The penalty of community service must be deleted as this is not within the prescribed power of the Sangguniang Barangay. In view of the foregoing findings and suggestions, the committee is constrained to move to remand ordinance number 2019-11-001 entitled an ordinance enhancing the safety of the internet operations in Barangay 96, Calanipawan, Tacloban City, and prescribing guidelines and penalties for certain acts or omissions in violations of this ordinance thereof to barangay of origin for modification.
There is a motion to remand Barangay Ordinance number 2019-11-001 of Barangay 96, Calanipawan, Tacloban City, entitled an ordinance enhancing the safety of the internet operations in Barangay 96, Calanipawan, Tacloban City, and prescribing guidelines and penalties for certain acts or omissions in violation of this ordinance thereof for modifications. The motion is seconded by all. Any discussion, any objection, and hearing none, the motion is approved.
Agenda number 2020-14-261 is a request to pass a resolution for authority to the Honorable City Mayor Alfred Romualdez to enter into a term of partnership by and between the City Government of Tacloban and Department of Health, Eastern Visayas Center for Health Development, represented by Director Minerva Molon, relative to the implementation of the 2020 Annual Operational Plan. The findings of the committee that, number one, this partnership agreement between the Tacloban City DOH Eastern Visayas Center for Health Development covers the management of the implementation of the approved 2020 Annual Operation Plan or AOP relative to the amended fixed tranche of 1 million pesos for Tacloban City and shall focus on the achievement of the improved local health system performance consistent with the Universal Health Act and the Formula 1 Plus for Health. The terms of partnership provide the following role and responsibilities of the city. So the city shall issue executive instruments or local legislations whenever necessary for the effective implementation of the Universal Health Act. To secure the participation and cooperation of all its component LGUs in carrying out local initiatives or activities pursuant to the citywide implementation of the Universal Health Act. Allocate releases and use together with the LGU funds that are necessary for the citywide implementation approved by the 2020 AOP. Take all steps in meeting the technical requirements and operational conditions that are prerequisites for the release of the grant allocations for specific programs. The city shall manage the program resources and ensure the delivery of inputs, for example, the rehabilitation works, equipment, human resource for human deployment, commodities, capacity building to the lower levels of local government to produce required outputs. Contribute to and facilitate monitoring, evaluation, and audit activities that shall be conducted in the course of the program, and submit the accomplishment and monitoring reports to the DOH. On the other hand, the DOH, Eastern Visayas Center for Health Development, shall, among others, deliver the necessary technical assistance to the city in the overall planning, management, and coordination, and the implementation of priority activities and programs. The DOH shall undertake monitoring of the implementation of the approved 2020 AOP and facilitate and arrange the provision and release of financing grants within the DOH EDCHD, Director's Authority and Control. The city shall receive an estimated allocation of 62,379,520.31 as a support from the national government, DOH, for the implementation of the approved 2020 AOP. And the city shall have a counterpart of 105 million rather, 973,518 and 96 centavos. This shall include all the budget from the health program, so including the city health, the hospital, Tacloban City Hospital. And this agreement is being renewed every year. The recommendation of the committee is that the term of partnership between LGU Tacloban and the DOH Eastern Visayas Center for Health Development being necessary in the management and implementation of the approved 2020 annual operation plan relative to the amended fixed tranche allocation of 1 million pesos for Tacloban City, as well as there being no provision found to be contrary to law, public policy, good customs, and morals. The committee moves to pass and adopt a resolution granting authority to Honorable City Mayor Alfred Romualdez to enter into a term of partnership by and between the City Government of Tacloban and Department of Health Eastern Visayas Center for Health Development, represented by Director Minerva Molon, relative to the implementation of the 2020 Annual Operational Plan. I so move. Second.
There's a motion to pass a resolution granting authority to the City Mayor, Honorable Alfred Romualdez, to enter into a terms of partnership with the Department of Health, Eastern Visayas Center for Health Development, represented by its Director, Dr. Minerva P. Molon, relative to the implementation of the 2020 Annual Operation Plan. The motion is seconded by any discussion. From the Chair, can you provide this? Kasi ano niya kinahahataga itong 1 million fixed
Okay,
tranche?
there's a
Later on,
one-
there
yeah.
is 62 million.
Yeah, okay. There's a tabulation here, resources from DOH and LGU to support the implementation of the STEM annual operational plan. So the DOH will give, the national DOH will give us 1 million fixed tranche. It is given as a fixed.
Yeah.
And then there's another 7 million for motor vehicle, 500,000 for equipments, human resource, which would form the big part of this 62 million, is 33 million for employees, I think, HRH, human resource for health. And then commodities of 20 million.
It says here, no, in the terms of partnership, there's a fixed tranche of the 1 million.
Yes.
But the 1 million was not specified as to how it will be used. Then we have the Health Facilities Enhancement Program with equipment amounting to 500,000, then motor vehicle amounting to 7 million. So I do not know, will this be ambulance?
Again?
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 No.
I-
Kasi
we have
7
to-
million eh.
Yes,
7 million eh.
maybe
So,
2 ambulances.
more or less, no?
More or
What, tag 3.5 na level something ambulance? Probably, no? So, but then how many ambulances do we have now at Tacloban City Hospital? Then third, human resources for health deployment, which is the bulk, 33 million. So, amo din ni ang mga
Nurses.
they have a program for that, di ba? And nurses deployment, NDP. Parang NDP, no?
NDP.
So these are assigned to the city hospital. Then there is the commodities, 20 million, 20.8. Based on allocation based provided DOH.
May vaccine sila.
Ang mga
Right,
estimated amount of vaccine.
Vaccine.
So ano ito yung vaccine? COVID-19.
Hopefully.
On
Yun
previous
natin,
year.
Previous time niya.
Kaya actual vaccine allocation provision. So that is 20.8 million eh. So it na purchase ito would be the DOH or will it be the LGU na?
I think the LGU, because we will be granted this.
So the
amount.
funds would be downloaded na. Okay. But there is another here that is counterpart. Dapat may counterpart kita eh. A counterpart of the LGU amounting to 105 million 973,518.96.
But this will come from the budget of the City Health Office and the Tacloban City Hospital.
There is ano din yun, nakasulat. HFEP. What does HFEP mean? There's a 63 million there, 63.4. And there is an HRH, around 42 million. And technical assistance, 172,000. Siguro ang magkaton na this is usually the subsidiary kinahatag it national.
Yes, from the National DOH.
The yearly pay.
Oo.
Renewable every year.
Yeah, ipakya na lang natin is in our budget kasi, when we do our budgeting, is it included? Kasi part of the terms of partnership, dapat may counterpart LGU. Do we have that funds for as a required counterpart natin pa rin na terms of partnership? Kasi those are important nga may dakita counterpart. Kasi part of that agreement, dapat ang LGU counterpart mo. So, probably ka sa check na lang. Having the chairperson of the finance, maybe you can also check it out on the budget.
I'll do that.
Yeah. Kasi sayang, this is a katan na yung national ato din, amounting to 62 million. So hopefully can be used for its intended purpose. Any further discussions? Any objection? There being none, the motions can approve.
Agenda number 14-262 is a request to pass a resolution for authority to Honorable City Mayor Alfred S. Romualdez to enter into a memorandum of agreement with Government Service Insurance System or GSIS, represented by its acting president and general manager, Mr. Rolando L. Macasaet, relative to the implementation of GSIS Multipurpose Loan and Consolidation of Debts or the GSIS MPL program. The findings of the committee are as follows. The GSIS Multipurpose Loan and Consolidation of Debts or the GSIS MPL is a new loan window of the GSIS intended to replace the existing Enhanced Conso Loan Plus program. Under this new loan window program, the GSIS members with at least 3 monthly premium contributions can avail of a loan from the GSIS. Previously, the privilege is given to members with at least 20 monthly contributions. Some salient features of this GSIS MPL are the following. 1. Consolidation of all existing loans of a member except housing loan under one account through the full liquidation of the outstanding balance of the loans. Number 2, inclusion of home emergency loan program or HELP, stock purchase loan and others not previously covered under the consolidation of debt feature of the Conso Loan Plus program. And number 3, one-time waiver of outstanding surcharges applicable on the initial application for MPL. Similar to the GSIS Financial Assistance Loan Program, the head of the agency should enter into a memorandum of agreement with the GSIS, where the agency will commit to undertake to prioritize the payment of GSIS loans over and above the payment of loans taken by the personnel from lending institutions until fully paid. To ensure the timely payment of all loan repayments and withhold any or all benefits due to the employee upon separation from the service as payment for outstanding GSIS loan. The committee finds the memorandum of agreement beneficial to city government employees who want to avail of this new multipurpose loan from the GSIS and avail of the privilege to consolidate all other loans from lending institutions. The MOA is found not to contravene any law, public policy, good customs, or morals. Therefore, the committee moves to pass and adopt a resolution granting to the Honorable City Mayor Alfred S. Romualdez to enter into a memorandum of agreement with Government Service Insurance System or GSIS, represented by its acting president and general manager, Mr. Rolando L. Macasait, relative to the implementation of the GSIS multipurpose loan and consolidation of debts or the GSIS MPL program.
There is a motion to pass a resolution granting authority to the City Mayor, Honorable Alfred S. Romualdez, to enter into a memorandum of agreement with the Government Service Insurance System, represented by its acting president and general manager, Mr. Rolando L. Macasait, relative to the implementation of the GSIS multipurpose loan and consolidation of debts, or the GSIS MPL loan. The motion is seconded by all. Any discussion? Can you share with us of this loan? So the advantage is, bisan 3 months pala
Yes.
naka-hulog, pwede na maka-loan.
Yes.
And if previous loan, what will happen to the previous loan?
The previous loan?
Kasi there is a avail of the new loan window which replaces the existing enhanced Consolon Plus program.
This will apply, Mr. Presiding Officer, to those who would like to avail for the first time. I mean, new. If you availed of the previous one, you have to continue the payment. Because before, those who were able to avail of the loan
Yes.
were able to do so if they have already paid at least monthly contributions. So that becomes outstanding. It will not be taxed. But for those who have contributed only for 3 months, if they wish to have a loan from the GSIS, then they can avail of this new window. The same terms and the same condition, like all other loans that you have incurred will be paid by the GSIS. So your creditor now becomes GSIS in place of the other creditors, lending institutions. So you consolidate all your loans, and it's the GSIS that will pay them out. So you are now indebted to the GSIS. You don't have any more many or multiple creditors.
Consolidation of all existing loans
Yes,
with other lending institutions.
Other lending institutions, GSIS will pay them out,
Except for housing loan.
except for housing loan.
Under one account. Sige. Then, waiver of outstanding surcharges. So, i-consolidate na under this one.
Yes.
But the second lang is, an era la, our responsibility as entering to MOA, the city government will prioritize the payment
To
of
GSIS.
GSIS loans over and above the payment of loans taken by personnel from lending institutions until fully paid. So what I feel, maybe it's a loan with GSIS, di mga dapat era loan na di come. Kasi you have to prioritize above the payment of loans taken by personnel from lending institutions. So mga gawas ng may dapat iba,
Oh.
second priority. Tama? From mga banks. Okay. Second priority na. Ensure the timely payment of all loan repayments due to from borrowers. And C, withhold any or all benefits due to the employee upon separation from service.
If they have
As
outstanding
payment for
GSIS.
outstanding GSIS loan obligation pursuant to GSIS Memorandum Circular. So now the city government, bago lumakat ang empleyado,
We'll see to it.
will secret nga nabayaran ng GSIS. I think this is good. The only thing good here is that bisan 3 months pala,
Pwede na.
makautang ang GSIS. That's good. Okay. Any further discussions? Any objection? There being none, the motion is still approved.
Agenda number 14-263, is a request for a resolution granting authority to Honorable City Mayor Alfred S. Romualdez to enter into a memorandum of understanding for the City Government of Tacloban with the Department of Labor and Employment, represented by its Regional Director, Mr. Yaya A. Senti, relative to the implementation of Government Internship Program for calendar year 2020. The findings and the recommendation of the committee are as follows. The Memorandum of Understanding refers to the DOLE's Government Internship Program or GIP, wherein the department provides a number of interns available to handle the required tasks and duties as requested by the GIP partner agency, which in this case is Tacloban City Government. The program actually aims to help especially the displaced workers resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. Under the MOU, DOLE provides the city with a number of interns to handle the required tasks and duties as requested by the GIP partner agency, process and pay the stipend of the intern, pay the enrollment of the group personal accident insurance of the intern to the GSIS, among others. The Tacloban City Government, on the other hand, as the GIP partner, shall ensure that the intern will not be exposed to any hazardous undertaking, shall submit to DOLE Regional Office the daily time record of the intern at least 2 days before the 15th and 30th of the month. The internship is for a period of 6 months. Finding the MOU to be not contrary to law, public order, or policy, and in fact beneficial to those displaced workers, the committee moves to pass and adopt a resolution granting authority to Honorable City Mayor Alfred S. Romualdez to enter into a memorandum of understanding for the City Government of Tacloban with the Department of Labor and Employment or DOLE, represented by its Regional Director, Mr. Yaya A. Senti, relative to the implementation of Government Internship Program for calendar year 2020.
There is a motion to pass a resolution granting authority to the City Mayor, Honorable Alfred S. Romualdez, to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the Department of Labor and Employment, Regional Office A, represented by its Regional Director, Mr. Yaya.
Senti.
Yaya, is it C or A?
C.
Yeah.
A. Senti.
Yaya, because here in the MOA it's Yaya C. Senti. But in this cover it's Yaya A. Senti.
It's A.
A, dapat A, ha?
A.
Sige. Yaya A. Senti. Relative to the implementation of the Government Internship Program for calendar year 2020. The motion is seconded by all. Any discussion? From the chair, can you provide us like, kahit man niya ma-enroll, dole niya ma-register, ma-apply, or has city na then, is it good for 6 months?
Yes.
And how many will be able to avail?
There are
Kasi-
4. There are 4 interns for this calendar year. It's only 6 months, July to December. So they have already identified the 4 interns who are actually already working or reporting to duty at the Tacloban City Assessor's Office.
4 persons only.
Only 4.
And already may dana slots.
Yes.
So it's not already still open. So may dana yung
No. Oo.
may dana naka-sign.
Maybe the request was just a little delayed.
Okay, okay. Sige. Okay. So any other discussions and objection? There being none, motion is approved.
Agenda number 14-264 is a request for a resolution granting authority to the Honorable City Mayor Alfred S. Romualdez to enter into a deed of donation on behalf of the City Government of Tacloban in favor of the Philippine National Police, represented by its City Director, Police Colonel Michael A. David, relative to the donation of 48 units of firearms. The deed of donation is executed by and between the donor, the City Government of Tacloban, and the Philippine National Police Tacloban City Police Office as the donee. Over 48 units of firearms, 10 of which are caliber 40 S&W Barak pistols, 23 caliber 9mm arms core pistols, 5 shotgun AKAR 12GA, and 10 caliber 5.56 AR-15 rifles. These firearms shall be used by the donee in its law enforcement, crime prevention, control, maintenance of peace and order, public safety and security of the Tacloban City and its residents. Finding the deed of donation to be lawful and not contrary to public order, policy, or customs, as well as vital to the function of the PNP Tacloban Police Office in law enforcement and crime prevention, as well as maintenance of peace and order in the city. The committee moves to pass and adopt a resolution granting authority to Honorable City Mayor Alfred S. Romualdez to enter into a deed of donation on behalf of the city government of Tacloban in favor of the Philippine National Police, represented by its City Director, Police Colonel Michael A. David, relative to the donation of 48 units of firearms.
There is a motion to pass a resolution granting authority to the City Mayor, Honorable Alfred Romualdez, to enter into a deed of donation with the PNP, Tacloban City Police Office, represented by City Director, Colonel Michael A. David, relative to the donation of 48 units of firearms. The motion is seconded by all. Any discussion? Honorable Pineda.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hope Police Colonel Michael A. David is around also to answer some query that I have. But right now, I have some queries also to the proponent. So according to the legal opinion of our city government, I am a city legal office, it is the duty of the city government to maintain peace and order within the city, and said firearms are indispensable for the safety and security of our constituents. So it is in my observation that the city is generally peaceful and quiet, and there is no imminent threat from lawlessness, violence, and criminality. Hence, I don't think that we need firearms for the safety and security of our residents. Firearms is not the solution in this time of pandemic. The threat that we are now facing is caused by an invincible enemy. We cannot see nor touch our enemy that is threatening our safety and security. Hence, we are required to stay at home for our safety. We cannot arrest, suppress, or even kill the enemy by using pistol, shotguns, or rifles. What we need now, Mr. Presiding Chair, to fight and combat this enemy, the COVID-19 coronavirus, are probably alcohol, soap and water, face mask, face shields, and other necessary requirements by the IATF for us to prevent this pandemic. So, I have several questions that I would want to clarify. First, how much was spent by the city government for the purchase of these 10 units of caliber 40, 45, and W Barak pistols, 23 units of caliber 9mm, arms for pistols, 5 units of shotguns, and 10 units of rifles, or a total of 48 units of firearms. Second, how much was the price of caliber 40-S and W Barak pistols? I hope our proponent can answer. Number 3, how much was the caliber 9mm pistol? Number 4, how about the shotgun? How much was each for each unit? Number 5, how much was the price of the rifle? And number 6, where did the city government source its funding from the purchase of these firearms? Number 7, who was the winning bidder or the supplier of these firearms? Number 8, was this part of our annual procurement program for calendar year 2020? Number 9, why is it that we need to donate firearms to the PNP at this point in time? What is the motive and purpose for this? Number 10, what is the peace and order situation of the city that would justify the procurement and donation of these firearms to the PNP? Is the city under imminent threat? Or do we have a high-rising criminality in Tacloban City? Number 11, how would you agree with that every policeman in the city that we met have their own pistol? That we can say every policeman, they have their own pistol issued to them when they become a policeman. And so why is it that we need to donate more firearms to the PNP? Number 12, the recommendation of the city legal office is that the city should execute the deed of donations to protect and relieve the city of any accountabilities and liabilities that may arise in the future. Does it mean that by executing the deed of donation to the PNP, we, the city officials, will be removed of any liability if and when the COA finds that this procurement is questionable, being unnecessary? Suppose the COA finds the donation disadvantageous to the city government. Are we relieved of any accountabilities because we have already donated the firearms to the PNP? Number 13, what is the ability or accountability of the Sangguniang Panlungsod by granting authority to the mayor to make such donation if the latter, the procurement of the said firearms, is considered illegal or unnecessary expenditures by the COA? So I hope that our proponent can enlighten us.
Thank you.
Proponent, please.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer, and thank you, the Honorable Pineda, for all those questions that really need to be answered by Police Colonel Michael A. David. I can only answer one question, is that the total cost of the firearms, because I inquired from the GSO, the General Services Office. So all of these 48 units of firearms, the cost is 2,541,772. Actually, I had the table of the cost of each of the firearms, which I did not bring, but it's in my office. I can easily provide the Honorable Pineda and anybody who's interested. Now, regarding crime status or rate in the city of Tacloban, that can be properly answered by the director of the PNP City Police Office, and all the other questions regarding necessity of procuring all these firearms and other, how many of them? 14, 15, 16 queries of the Honorable Pineda. So maybe we can invite the Police Colonel Michael A. David before.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it will be important for the city council to know already. I think the basic would be, why would the city still purchase the 9mm service pistol when all policemen are required to have their own firearm to carry? So probably the police director can answer
Yes.
that. Why was this requested by him, by the office, and for what purpose probably?
Yes, and I agree that we cannot fight the virus with firearms. Everybody understands that because this is an unknown virus. So definitely the firearms purchase will not be to combat the virus, the COVID-19 virus. So maybe in the next session we can invite the Police Colonel Michael David to answer some queries, especially the queries of the distinguished Liga President, who happens to be the president of the whole Liga. Imagine, so he will have to face Honorable Pineda.
I think for all of us, because the budget probably the budget was taken from the general funding.
Yes, so
At the same time also,
I mean the queries are valid.
Yeah.
So
I would therefore withdraw my motion to grant authority pending the attendance of Police Colonel Michael David in the next session to answer all the queries.
Yes, yes. Before that, Honorable Rachel Pineda.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Chair. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I do hope na we get a clear view for this one. Kay damo pa nga ni iton may ada pa stab nahang ka ng relief katapos nga waray pa katabi tapos and then we would procure pistols or what maybe mas maupay ko na it would be clear nga nihin ma-address ang mga immediate nga mga concerns. And also, aside from the COVID pandemic, we also have a problem with our dengue. Diba? The cases are rising also. So, that's all.
But I think this one, since it's already asking the city council to grant authority to the city mayor for a deed of donation, probably this has already been purchased. Kasi deed of donation na yun, yeah. So, I think the queries probably can best be answered by no less than the city director of the Tacloban City Police Office.
And regarding the purchase of alcohol, the other COVID related activities, I think we already passed several budget. We have approved procurement of the different COVID related supplies.
Yeah, I think the one that we're saying that the necessity na lang.
The necessity, yes.
I think that's the issue. But to the budget itself, they have different budgets naman. And atong lang siguro gusto masabtan by Honorable Pineda probably said, why is it that we still have to purchase and to donate to the PNP Tacloban City Police Office when every police officer tatagan manitirahin in service firearm. So why is it that we have to purchase this? Plus the other caliber, no? I think caliber 40, then there's a caliber rifle, 5.56, then there's shotgun. So where will this be used? Shotgun, no? Where this can be used?
Yes. So if there are no other discussions, I would like to move that we pass and adopt a resolution inviting the
So
director, Peter Nell.
Yeah, but before that, we have the previous motion.
No, I already withdrew it.
So the previous motion is now withdrawn.
So instead, I would like to pass and adopt a resolution inviting Police Colonel Michael A. David of the Tacloban City PNP office to come over to the next session and shed light and answer queries from the honorable members of this august body relative to this donation of 48 units of firearms.
And also to provide us update na lang of the peace and order situation. I think
Yes,
that
and
parang yun
provide,
nasayang.
okay. And also
Nasayang
provide
Felicita.
us with a situationer on the crime rate
Or peace and order
and the peace
situation.
and order situation of the city.
I think would be better. So para sabay-sabay niya. Okay, so there's a motion to pass a resolution inviting Police Colonel Michael David, David of the City Director of the Tacloban City Police Office for our next session to provide us with a situationer on the peace and order here in the city of Tacloban, as well as to answer the queries regarding the donation of 48 units of firearms from the city government. The motion is seconded by all. Any discussion and objection? There being none, motion is approved.
Agenda 14-265, a proposed ordinance adopting protective and precautionary measures against COVID-19 during the new normal situation and providing penalties for violations thereof. For second reading, sponsored by Honorable Elvira Galapon Casal, co-sponsored by Honorable Evangeline Esperas, Honorable Aurora Amy Grafil, Honorable Leo Bahin, Honorable Dalisay Epe, Honorable Brian C. Benados, and Honorable Thomas Diaz.
Madam Floor.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Chair. Agenda 14-265 is a proposed ordinance adopting protective and precautionary measures against COVID-19 during the new normal situation and providing penalties for violations thereof. For this proposed ordinance, I move to defer it for second reading pending discussion because several of our honorable members here will still have inputs and we have further changes in our interagency task force every day. So I think we have to add some more to this new normal ordinance.
I strongly suggest also that if you can hold a public hearing, because there are penal provisions, so the ordinance would require a public hearing, and we can hear from the different sectors, especially the business sector. I think because they will mostly be affected by this new normal ordinance. So there's a motion now to defer consideration of agenda number 14-265 until the next session. The motion is seconded by any discussion, any objection, the begun motion.
No other matter on my table, Mr. Presiding Chair.
We have another from the Honorable Rachel Pineda, other matter.
Yeah. Honorable Rachel Pineda is recognized.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. President Chair. Thank you to our honorable floor leader. It has been passed by the IATF already that single na mga motorcycles are required to have motorcycle barriers. And it has been a burden to everyone, to the riding public of the motorcycles. No? Burden ito era. Number one, because of the cost. It's an additional cost to them because it costs around from 300 to 2,000 pesos. Ito sa mga motorcycle barrier. And also, it is a hazard to the riders because it affects with the mga aerodynamic kuanera. So if ever lumaksingan itong itong motorcycle, may possibility na out of balance. That is according to several engineers also. So we request, I move to pass a resolution requesting the IATF to reconsider in the implementation of these motorcycle barriers. Ngayon, kay pag-uli man nga ni Colonera, mula gihapon, they still sit beside each other, they still interact inside their houses, so siguro there's no point actually. So I move to ask them to reconsider the implementation of those motorcycle barriers.
There is a motion to pass a resolution requesting the national IATF on COVID-19 and other infectious diseases to reconsider their policy regarding the mandatory installation of and use of the safety barrier or shield for single motorcycles. The motion is seconded by all. Any discussion? In objection, the being motion can approve.
No other matter?
Yes.
Amit pa? No other matters before we adjourn, please stand up please for our closing prayer. Since the frontliners have requested time out, we have a prayer for the medical frontliners. Dear God, we pray for medical frontliners. Though they are tired, we know that you are not tired of loving them. Please help them find rest and strength in your love. May you guide them as they continue to battle against COVID-19, which is the virus with no borders. May your hands must protect them during this difficult time, and not only them, but all of us who are here and our constituents. All this we ask in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. The 38th regular session of 14th Sangguniang Pangunsod is now officially adjourned.